Hello, America. JOC here with your Ranting Politics headline updates, where we are diving into today's most explosive political stories that you need to know about. Coming up, we will break down Joy Reid's dramatic exit from MSNBC, Elon Musk stirring up federal employees, President Zelensky making a surprising offer, Governor Newsom's massive wildfire aid request, and a truly bizarre story about a convicted cannibal getting released in Connecticut. Stick around as we cut through the noise and give you the straight facts on what's really going on. Remember, we're not here to tell you what to think. We're here to help you understand what's happening in our wild world of politics and beyond. The winds of change are blowing through MSNBC as Joy Reid's controversial tenure comes to an end. According to the New York Times, the network's new president, Rebecca Cutler, is giving the Reid out, the boot after 5 tumultuous years in the 7 p.m. slot. Reid's show will be replaced by a fresh panel format featuring Alicia Menendez, Michael Steele, and Simone Sanders Townsend. Reid's departure caps off a legacy marked by controversy that stretches back to her earliest days at the network. Back in 2017, she faced major backlash when homophobic posts from her old blog, The Reid Report, resurfaced. While she initially claimed she was hacked, she later apologized on air, with MSNBC standing by her at the time. But that was just the beginning. Over the years, Reid became known for inflammatory commentary that often pushed the boundaries of mainstream political discourse. She suggested conservatives would trade tax cuts to use racial slurs, compared Trump supporters to radicalized extremists, and even claimed she was too scared to leave her house on July 4th because America was awash with guns. The controversies continued right up until the end. Just this past November, she sparked outrage by telling MAGA supporters to make your own Thanksgiving dinner during a rant claiming Republicans worship Trump instead of Jesus. She also falsely claimed President Trump wanted reparations for white people and got into a heated exchange with border czar Tom Homan, who memorably described her as dumber than a box of rocks. Reid's final episode will air this week, marking the end of an era at MSNBC that perfectly encapsulates the network's recent struggles to maintain viewership while balancing provocative commentary with journalistic standards. In a move that's sending shockwaves through the federal workforce, Department of Government Efficiency Chair Elon Musk has thrown down the gauntlet, demanding all federal employees submit a list of their weekly accomplishments or face termination. The directive, which came down on a Saturday night of all times, has sparked what some are calling an unprecedented rebellion within government ranks. The requirement seems simple enough on paper. Musk claims it should take less than 5 minutes to bullet point what you got done last week. But the deadline, Monday at midnight. Talk about a weekend surprise. According to Musk, the bar is, quote, very low, but the consequences couldn't be higher. Fail to respond and it's considered a resignation. Democratic lawmakers aren't taking this lying down. Illinois Representative Sean Casten called for mass civil disobedience, while Senator Tina Smith of Minnesota didn't mince words, calling it a, quote, ultimate boss move from someone who isn't even technically their boss. The unions are fighting back too. The National Treasury Employees Union is telling their FDA members not to comply, while the American Federation of Government Employees President Everett Kelly blasted the mandate as cruel and disrespectful, particularly to veterans now serving in civil service roles. Some agencies are already pushing back. The FBI's new director, Kash Patel, told staff to hold off on responding while his office handles the review process. The State Department and NSA are also pumping the brakes, waiting for further guidance from higher-ups. But Musk isn't backing down. He claims this audit is exposing ghost employees who don't even check their government email, and in some cases, suggesting dead people's identities are being used to collect paychecks. The initiative comes after President Trump praised Musk's work, but urged him to get, quote, more aggressive in rooting out government waste and fraud. Whether this mandate will stick or crumble under the weight of bureaucratic resistance remains to be seen. But one thing's certain, the battle lines between Musk's efficiency crusade and the federal workforce are clearly drawn. In a stunning announcement from Kyiv, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has declared he's willing to step down from his position under two specific conditions. Either Ukraine gains NATO membership or his departure leads to peace with Russia. The former comedian turned wartime leader made this unexpected pledge during a news conference, showing just how high the stakes have become in this ongoing conflict. This dramatic offer comes amid increasing pressure from President Trump, who's been pushing for new elections in Ukraine. But Zelensky maintains that holding elections during wartime is practically impossible, with 8 million Ukrainians displaced and service members unable to vote while defending their country. Not to mention the Russian-occupied territories where free and fair elections would be a pipe dream. The relationship between Trump and Zelensky has been anything but smooth sailing. Just last week, Trump branded Zelensky a dictator, following meetings between American officials and Russian representatives in Saudi Arabia. The timing is particularly interesting, as the Trump administration works to broker a deal giving the U.S. access to Ukraine's mineral rights in exchange for military aid. Zelensky's pushing back on Trump's narrative, suggesting that Putin's allies might be feeding misinformation to the former president. He's called for a face-to-face meeting with Trump before any sit-down with Putin occurs, understanding full well that Russia's endgame remains control over all of Ukraine. The U.S. has poured nearly $66 billion in military aid into Ukraine since Russia's full-scale invasion began in 2022. Now, Trump's floating plans to recoup some of that investment through mining deals, with retired General Keith Kellogg recently visiting Kyiv to iron out the details. While Trump's announced an imminent agreement, Ukrainian officials are insisting any deal must benefit both sides, even as some view it as a shakedown. This latest development shows just how complex the diplomatic chess game has become, with Zelensky making perhaps his boldest move yet in the name of securing his country's future. Los Angeles is facing what could become the most expensive natural disaster in American history, with Governor Gavin Newsom making a bold plea to Congress for nearly $40 billion in federal aid. The devastating January wildfires that ripped through some of LA's most affluent neighborhoods have left a trail of destruction that's hard to comprehend. We're talking about more than 16,000 structures reduced to ashes across Pacific Palisades, Malibu, Pasadena, and Altadena. The economic toll? A staggering $250 billion, with real estate losses from just the Palisades and Eaton fires potentially exceeding $30 billion. These aren't just numbers, folks. We're talking about homes, businesses, schools, and churches gone in the blink of an eye. Newsom's playing it straight with Congress, laying out exactly where every dollar would go. The biggest chunk, nearly $17 billion, would go to FEMA for rebuilding and cleanup efforts. Another $10 billion would come from housing and urban development for grants to fire victims, and about $5 billion from the Small Business Administration for loans to help get businesses back on their feet. But here's where it gets interesting. While Newsom's thanking President Trump for fast-tracking debris removal, there's some political heat in the kitchen. Trump's team, particularly his special envoy Rick Grenell, is hinting that this federal aid might come with some strings attached. One potential condition being floated: defunding the California Coastal Commission, an agency Trump's criticized as a bureaucratic roadblock to rebuilding efforts. This isn't just another aid package. It's shaping up to be a showdown between state and federal powers, with billions of dollars and countless lives hanging in the balance. As Newsom put it, Los Angeles is one of the world's economic powerhouses, but even powerhouses need help getting back on their feet after a knockout punch like this. In a decision that's raising eyebrows across Connecticut, Tyree Smith, the man behind one of the state's most disturbing murder cases, has been granted conditional release from Connecticut Valley Hospital. Back in 2011, Smith didn't just commit murder. He took things to an unimaginable level by consuming parts of his victim's body in a cemetery after the killing. Smith's doctor is painting a surprisingly rosy picture, describing him as a joy and a calming presence in the hospital. They're saying he's properly medicated now, managing his psychosis, and fully engaged in treatment. But let's be real. We're talking about someone who was committed for 60 years after being found not guilty by reason of insanity for killing Angel Gonzalez with an axe. Republican state senators aren't buying it. Senator Paul Ciccarella put it bluntly: murder and cannibalism and release in the same sentence? That's a problem. His colleagues are calling the decision outrageous and mind-boggling. The victim's family isn't exactly thrilled either. Talitha Frazier, Gonzalez's sister-in-law, raised the question we're all thinking. How do we really know he's not going to do this again? Smith's release comes with conditions. He'll start with day passes confined to hospital grounds, before potentially moving to supervised off-site visits. But for many, including Gonzalez's family, who say his grandkids are terrified, even these baby steps are steps too far. And there you have it, folks. What a news day it's been. From Joy Reid's dramatic exit from MSNBC after years of controversial moments, to Elon Musk shaking up the federal workforce with his bold new accountability measures. We covered President Zelensky's surprising resignation offer, Governor Newsom's massive wildfire aid request, and that shocking decision to release Connecticut's notorious cannibal killer. These stories remind us why staying informed is more critical than ever in today's fast-moving world. For more in-depth coverage and daily updates, follow us on X at RantingRP. You can catch our full episodes on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to visit rantingpolitics.com for exclusive content and analysis. This is JOC signing off, and thank you, our loyal listeners, for choosing Ranting Politics headline updates. We'll be back soon with the updates you need to navigate these interesting times. Until then, stay tuned, stay informed, and as always, stay free.